Let us go back to our friend Pablo, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Mark Levin app. Pablo, how are you, sir?
Great, Mark. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
And again, I read your book in 8 hours. I couldn't put it down, and I gave it to 10 of my friends. I believe your book is not just very important, but it's also very urgent, because in the path we are going, it could get to a point of no return. And I was telling you on Friday and your audience that I grew up in Argentina, and you mentioned that Argentina was the second richest country in the world at the time, which is true. And socialism brought it to what it is today. And because I had the opportunity, I've been to Cuba, and I spent quite a bit of time also in Ukraine. I went to Russia as well. But in Ukraine, I had the opportunity to talk to people that lived through the Soviet years. And the stories that I have heard before about what that was, the communist paradise, well, they really don't even touch the surface of what that really was. But what is worse is what's going on even till this day. Because one thing socialism does that I don't think that many people understand is kill the spirit. Forget about all the financial, economical, or hardships, which are tremendous, and the dictatorship and the lack of freedom. What it does to the human spirit lasts a lot longer and really destroys it. Mm-hmm. It's a system, and we are walking into that, because I saw it, I see it coming here, and that's what terrifies me, and why I believe your book is so not just important but urgent.
Well, you're very, very kind, and in Ameritopia I explain this mentality. The goal is to remold, to reshape man's nature, to dispirit the individual and control the individual and torment the individual. The individual becomes a faceless, nameless, non-human individual who works for the state, in essence, directly or indirectly. And you're exactly right, and it can be done in very aggressive and harsh ways, as in these communist regimes and their gulags, or it can be done, as Alexis de Tocqueville suggested, in democracies, where you're just so overwhelmed with regulations, you're so overwhelmed with dictates, you're so busy trying to comply and to chase off government investigators and paperwork and so forth, that you're defeated and you're dispirited.
Yes, and the result of that is that people give up and don't even try, and it becomes part of their gene pool, so to speak, because in new generations, even young generations that you see now, like, again, in former Soviet countries like in Ukraine, or in Argentina, by the way, because socialism, under any name, whether it's Nazism or whatever you want to call it, it's always socialism. It's a world of pretend. And they used to say, they pretend they pay us, we pretend we work. Well, it's pretend everything. The government pretends they care for the people. That was the Fundación Evita Perón in Argentina, and now the finding romantic.
Yeah, another nut job. Yep.
And the people pretend they love the leaders, but they know it's not true. It's a world of pretending, and everything becomes pretend, and that's how they live. So the spirit is dead, because one thing that it undermines socialism in people. One of the effects that I'm not sure everybody's aware, even those that toy with the name, they call themselves socialists here in America, which I encounter people that are that way, is it destroys the belief system. If people find it that it's impossible to resist, there is no point, because you're defeated, gulag and stuff like that. When you want to go away against an overpowering government that controls it all, you're defeated. At least that's what they want to convince you, and most people believe it, so they stop trying.
Well, Pablo, I have to go. I have a break. Okay. You're quite right. You're absolutely superb in relaying this, and I hope you'll call again. Will you do that?
I will, absolutely, Mark.
And don't hang up. I want to send you a signed copy of my book, The Liberty Amendments. Thank you very, very much. He speaks the truth.